Welcome back. Now, most South Africans will cast their votes on Monday. However, about 1.7 million will also make their mark this very weekend. They've registered for special votes. So let's discuss this now with IEC Commissioner. That's Mr. Mosotho Moepye. Mr. Moepye, thank you for your time and good morning to you. I'm sure quite a busy time during this last couple of days ensuring that both special votes weekend, voting polls are ready, as well as, the 1st of November when the nation, of course, will be voting. But let's start with this weekend. What's the state of preparedness come Saturday and Sunday for that special vote?
Thank you, Dumelo. Good morning to you and your viewers, and thanks for having us. We are working, at every minute, at every hour. It matters for us, but the state of our being ready to begin to receive voters tomorrow of a special vote or visiting them is well on course.
What will they then incorporate? Because I was meant to have a conversation with Mr. Mgobozi from the SANDF just to touch on the presence of the 10,000 members of the SANDF who've been deployed to various hotspots. But in terms of that special vote weekend, how's it looking from that front?
We have the highest number of special voters approved for this election. The number rounded off, it's 1.2 million. It's just over 1.1 million. 507,000 of those are persons we are going to have to visit at home. And 611,000 are persons who will be coming to what we call the office of the presiding officer. In other words, a place closest to the voting station or the voting station itself. The challenge is often visiting voters at home. Those voters will normally be visited because they are immobile, they are bedridden, or they cannot come to the voting station. And so we will go and visit them tomorrow and on Sunday. To the extent that we visit them and we find them at home, all is well. If we don't find them at home, it then becomes a problem because we will not be able to go back. And so we ask those voters who have asked for a special vote to be at home for us to come and visit them. To the extent that they may not be available, or persons that have applied aren't able to do a special vote, they then have to come to the voting station on Monday.
Right, and that's important, what you're saying there, Mr. Moepye, but they have to be at home so that you do find them and they're able to cast their votes. Let's talk about, the latest and recent spate of power cuts. How much of a problem does that pose for the IEC, not only for the special votes, for those perhaps coming to you, for those making their way to these homes due to, the traffic lights that we don't see working, perhaps you might take time, but also for the results center, which will play a crucial role in the processing of results?
We have had discussions with Eskom. We have a service level agreement with them, and this is not new. We have done this before. They have indicated to us that part of the challenge we have had until today was to ensure that we do not have the situation tomorrow, Sunday and Monday. So we trust that situation will be true. In many of our result operation centers, we do have backup power, but we believe that it will not be necessary. Backup power is not our first port of call. We will use it if all else fails. And so we're working with Eskom. They are, in fact, present in our results operation center. And to the extent that we may need them, they're just here with us.
Yeah. Mr. Moepye, power cuts are not only a concern for the IEC. At this point, I think South Africans are angered, frustrated, inconvenienced, and already voter apathy is an issue for the IEC. Even though previously the IEC had mentioned that they're quite happy with those who've registered to vote, are you at all concerned that even with the registrations you've received, some South Africans may feel unmotivated to actually come up and, face the non-working traffic lights, to just be patient a bit to come and vote? Are you worried that these blackouts might also hinder them from actually standing up, driving or walking or coming up to vote? Is that a concern?
We are concerned, but I want to say to Melo, and I think it's a very, very important point you raise. Things change not on their own. They change because we get involved. And our call to all registered voters is for them to take this hard-fought right, for them to vote and to dictate what their future should be like. Unless they do so, someone will speak for them and they may not actually represent their viewpoint. So I'm calling on everyone who's registered, who qualifies to vote, to come out and vote over this weekend.
Yeah. You've mentioned you've engaged with ESCOM. Have you engaged with the members of the SANDF, with also the Department of Police? Because there seem to be also fears that the July unrest we experienced at the country may not potentially also hinder the smooth running of the elections come November 1st, or perhaps even this weekend with the special votes. Is that a concern for the IEC? Any unrest whatsoever that maybe you may foresee or might have heard from, intelligence information that you need to be aware of and prepare for?
We work very closely with the security forces in the country, the establishment, and we manage elections. They deal with security issues, but they have been briefing us on a regular basis on the state of security in the country and how they will deploy. We have done this before. We have no reason to doubt it now, and we are partners in the work that we do to ensure that South Africans do in fact attain this right that is hard-earned. And we call on all citizens to respect the rights of others, to respect the opportunity that South Africans have once every 5 years to renew those that they want to lead them in local government.
Yeah, and another IEC is saying to South Africans that they will not be doing this alone. You have engaged with at least approximately 185,000 voting officials who will be helping administering the voting process. What will be their role? So, for example, when I do come and make my mark, what do I expect from an official who's meant to be there to help administer and make sure that I cast my vote smoothly?
Well, in the COVID era, there are a number of things that are going to be slightly new. I'm glad that we have lived with COVID for over a year now. But at voting stations, many South Africans will come for the first time, in COVID era with, to vote. You will be welcomed by someone who will be at the entrance of the voting station, the place where you proverbially will get checked on a scanner, whether you are registered in that voting district, and then, help you to go through the queue. There will be someone who will also be ensuring that you have your mask on and you are maintaining the correct social distance. You will then have someone ensuring that your nail that has to be marked is clear once they have sanitized you. In other words, they sanitize you, you go through the queue, they check that your nail is clear, they mark you off the voters roll when you're at that station, they give you a ballot, and on leaving, they will also be sanitizing you again. So we will maintain social distance. We will ensure that throughout the process in the voting station, voters are safe and they maintain the necessary precautions in their voting process. Voters are urged to bring their own pens to mark the ballot. But today, if they do not have the pens, we will have pens in the station. We will sanitize them as we give them over to the voters. But those voters that believe that to be absolutely sure, they want to bring their own papers, they are most welcome.
Yeah, oftentimes we talk about, balancing lives and livelihoods in the age of, COVID-19. But what I'm hearing from you is a balance of, livelihoods, lives and democracy. Quite a thorough process there that you take me through, Mr. Moepye, just in terms of adhering to COVID-19 regulations. But I'm keen to know then, while on COVID-19, what are some of the lessons that the IEC has learned? A new normal for South Africa, but a new normal for the IEC as well, administering local government elections during a pandemic. And what can you share with us in terms of the lessons that you have learned that you take moving forward?
Well, we have been looking at other jurisdictions around the world that have had elections in the pandemic. Our very own by-elections were a test for us. And we are pleased that with the by-elections that we have conducted, there is now evidence that the by-elections have not been points of contagion. In other words, they have not led to the spreading of the pandemic. And so we want to ensure that situation is maintained. We want to do well for our nation, well with our citizens, to ensure that even when we exercise our right to vote, it is done in a place of relative safety in the voting station.
All right, we'll leave it there, and I appreciate you taking time out to not only speak to me, but to assure South Africans that you are ready, you are prepared as the IEC to accommodate all South Africans for both the special vote and the November 1st elections. Thank you so much to the IEC's Mosotho Moepye.